Are you in the disaster recovery restoration, or maybe in any kind of contracting that involves insurance companies? And when I say involves, meaning we serve clients that depend on their homeowners' business insurance to cover their risk, their losses. That could be roofers, contractors, reconstruction, and in my case, I work with a lot of mitigation, emergency services contractors, fire, water, and mold. If you are in this space, in this industry, in this field, except for a few very, very minor niches, you probably have had interactions with insurance companies. And what I mean by that is maybe you don't deal with insurance directly, but you're going to be affected by them. They're going to reach out to you. They're going to refuse to pay your mutual customer. They're going to give you emails, call your office, give you long lists of things that they require you to do, billing practices, steps, processes, and stuff like that. For a long time in our industry, we all kind of went along with it and played the game because it was a mutual professional collaboration where they had something they needed off of work that we do, that our client needs to get repaid, right? Not that unusual. Most of us are homeowners, car owners. We understand that there's a documentation process. But over time, I like to call it boiling frogs. A lot of processes and sinister things started happening. And there was a book that came out in 2010 called Delay, Deny, Defend by Mr. Dr. Jay Feinman, a professor at Rutgers. That book has become an industry requirement for most contractors, just because of the game that's played, the gamification of the claims process that is steered towards unfair, sometimes fraudulent, certainly bad faith practices that causes them to delay, deny, defend. That's no secret. And last year, maybe 2 years ago now, in the last few years, there was an assassination, an awful event, assassination of a United Healthcare CEO, president, that was assassinated on the streets of New York. And the bullet that was used to shoot at him, or was the one that hit him, had the word delay, deny, depose. So they kind of changed it up. So anyone that I'm speaking to has had these very aggravating interactions. Some people choose to be on insurance programs, which means you enter into an agreement with an insurance carrier to be on one of their managed carrier programs. Sometimes you might hire and get enrolled with a TPA, and that's a way that you get leads to your business. It's a way that it works. But by and large, our industry, the murmur has turned into a grumble and a roar of extreme frustration and extreme repercussions of this entire ecosystem. And all of this to say, that big long setup is to let you know that my name is Clark Brown. I am a restoration business coach now. I was a contractor I have been in the industry 23 years. About 18 of those have been as a contractor. Dealt with claims, projects that insurance companies were involved with, had my fair share of run-ins with them, et cetera. I actually got out at a time before it got to be the way it was now. So I have become a business coach, built a company, built a team, but I built it on purpose because I love teaching and educating in different ways with different mediums. So I've now built a company that have employees, other staff, other coaches, an ops manager, and they kind of run the day-to-day now that allows me to go express the things that I want to achieve for this industry in different ways, not just one-on-one coaching with restoration entrepreneurs, business owners, and their teams to help them grow. But I started writing books. I wrote my first book 2 years ago. Kind of had the idea during COVID. I've been writing every day for many years. I have a lot of blogs. We have articles. We have hundreds of blogs on our website, but I also have personal journals. I just write every day because it helps me get things out of my head. So I wrote a book a couple of years ago, and then last year I wrote around this new idea that I've had called the 8% Restopreneur. Okay. An 8% Restopreneur. So 8%, it seems elitist, but I believe that most people are going to agree with me. In our industry, only about 8% are kind of quality, check all the boxes between workmanship, community driven, culture, honest, integrity, all the things that you think make somebody a great. Lots of people in the industry fall into the 92%, which doesn't make them all bad. It just means they have not reached the world-class level yet. They're trying. I hope that 15% is the real number and that more people are getting closer. But maybe they just don't have some things figured out. But there are certainly the far of the spectrum, the 99%, the 90 to 78% and on, that are lacking of integrity. They do a lot of different things that are certainly questionable, probably arguably illegal. But they emotionally carry this fight that we're dealing with to cause them to do things that are lacking of integrity and honesty. It's almost like two wrongs trying to make it a right, right? So I started this entire movement around the 8%, not trying to keep people out of the 8%, trying to grow the 8% to 10, to 12, to 15. I'm trying to increase what that looks like. I don't have all the answers, but I do know what right looks like. When money doesn't matter, right is right. So I started writing books, and I chose to write those in a fable. I had one come out called Fork in the Road. Great book. I'm talking after many, many rewrites and many, many iterations and peers reading it, giving me feedback. I kind of got to a working copy and published it last year. And A Fork in the Road is it's a fable, a fiction book with characters, specifically designed, created, idealized characters in my head that are like you and I, that deal with the things that we deal with. And I found that writing as a fable, to me, created a place where it didn't come across as just another business book. It didn't come across as a consultant or a coach writing a book trying to get more business. It didn't come across accusatory. Came across as a mirror. That's what a lot of people have said. And it relates to most any small business, but it's a story about Jack Carter, 5 years into his business, still being held captive by his business, still locked down with handcuffs. Nothing works without him. Everything is in his head, etc. And he looks around at his peers, some of them that have been in business the same time or even less, that are living a life of abundance, not just money, but able to, give more to the community, grow a better company, delegate to people, grow other leaders. And Jack just doesn't feel the same way. And he has, of course, emotional frustrations and self-limiting beliefs because of that. And this story takes him through a journey where he meets a mentor named Sam that helps him with a different way. He goes through the journey. I recommend you pick that up. That book is my first one. But that book it opened the floodgate, and it caused me to sit not long after I wrote it in the idea of creating a universe with not only the characters of that book, but other characters and how they play in. I have now essentially, some of them in very rough outlines, some in a little finer, closer laser beam outlines written about 10 books, all in the 8% of the same mission, the same focus. Help people with a journey of going from one place to one of success, wherever they might be stuck, wherever they might not feel successful, to a way that is. It's not accusatory. It's absolutely an inspirational, but yet hard look in the mirror, which is why I said that. And I've got them from all kinds of characters, from all kinds of standpoints. Some are business development, some are technicians, some are more senior retired restorers. Just all kinds of it's really going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. The floodgates got open. So I sat and after I released the first book, and let me tell you real quick, let me pause and tell you what an amateur writer that I am. I am no Stephen King or John Grisham or J.K. Rowling. I did not write an epic masterpiece. What I hoped that I wrote was something along the lines of the E-Myth for our industry, something that restores can look through the library and find a book, pull it out, buy it, read it, and have it trigger something to make a change. I wanted it to be impactful. I'm not going to sell millions of copies. I'd be very surprised if any book I wrote sold more than 1,000. The first book I've written, as of the recording of this, 1st of August, a couple hundred copies, but great reviews so far. I've actually probably given away close to as many books as I've sold. That's what I'm going to do. That's what subject matter experts do. They write a book to express what they know and put something out there of permanence. It's in writing. It's beyond a Facebook article, beyond a blog, beyond a newspaper article, something that people have in their hand that put on their desk, their coffee table, or their break table, and something they actually give to other people. A book means someone spent the time and effort to sit and do that. I didn't know I could do it. I can. I'm going to tell you, if you have something you want to say, it's never been easier in the world for people like me and you to self-publish. Just figure it out. Do it wrong. I've written a lot of bad things and terrible stories that just no one understood and didn't have a great flow. There is a flow to it. But like anything else, you do it enough times, it starts to feel better. You become better at it. I took a writing class from a very good writer that helped me develop a style, a theme, a voice. So all that to talk about the Lay Down Defend, and then of course my book series. I don't even have a paper copy yet. I just came out with this book 2 weeks ago. I published it and got it out. I'm going to show you on my tablet. Is that showing up? This is called The Lost Chapter, the fourth D, distraction, a fable about the fourth D and how to take back your company. Distraction means if you are not careful or intentional or focused in this business, you can get really anchored and drawn in to being distracted by turning yourself into an insurance repair company and not a property damage disaster recovery specialist, which is what your customer expects you to be. Our industry has taken on a position and a stance that they are a representative of their customer for their insurance policy and their claim. It comes from a place of empathy and our willingness, our desire to help. But what it does is we end up going too far, too deep into areas where we don't have leverage, we don't have a say, and we can't legally be a representative for our customers. We become the bank, we become the admin for the insurance company. The book of distraction is about being distracted by believing that all of the things that insurance companies now do when there is a claim, they have adjusters, they have TPAs. Very few go to job sites anymore. You know why? Because they now have the contractor that can become their worker bee. We put so much time, money, energy, and passion into becoming so compliant to what the insurance need because they tell us they won't pay us if they don't have it. Well, that's a lie. We aren't obligated to do so. We're not in a contract with them. There is a gap between what's being professional and what's being compliant or even distracted. And what I've seen, and the reason I wrote the book, is thousands, thousands and thousands of conversations with frustrated disaster recovery companies, restoration owners, project managers, all levels, getting hung up and spending so much of their precious time and energy and passion to become more compliant, to work on systems that help them gain a false sense of favor with insurance companies. And the truth is, you're not. Now, if you're on a program, you're required to do a lot of the things you're supposed to do. That's actually in the written agreement. You've agreed to do so in return for a job assigned to you. Some people will say it's a great way to do it. I don't think so, because you're at lower margins. You're under their direction and their scope. They're not professionals. They don't have the education, the experience to do what we do. And that can burn you out. The better you get at this industry, it's harder to take instructions and direction from people that aren't. And then you start losing some ground with your brand and your reputation. That's my perception. It's very controversial. A lot of people think that I'm saying bad things about people on programs, but I'm telling you, companies that are not on program, independent restoration contractors, get calls daily after a restoration company has been on the program, has been assigned to the job, and just doesn't do the job right. They're not bad restorers. Sometimes they're just only paid to do so many things. And the one person that matters the most is the customer, and they recognize it, and they deserve better, and they call someone better. So I talk about Distracted as a book as not a smear in the face of anyone. It's just for those, the group of individuals that want to have permission from themselves. Even like have someone show them, zoom out 30,000 feet, someone who's not directly tied to their business, someone they will never meet. I'm an author of a book of people that might never meet me, but they're going to hear the gist of the book. They're going to read it, and they're going to say, I think he's talking about me. That happened with the first book. People said, I felt like you were talking about me. That's okay. And that's what I hoped. I hope people would relate to it, see themselves in the characters, all the characters in the book. But Distracted is a way to look at things different, and say, what are we? Who are we? Are we having the right conversations? Are we actually pursuing the right level of expertise that we kind of dreamed about when we started our company? Right now, as of this video, maybe different, I'm going to put a link down below. Right now, we only have this in paperback, and I am working on getting the Kindle, and you probably will see the Kindle in the next couple of days. All of the books, it's taken me a little bit longer to do it, but I plan to sit and record the audibles. So what I'd like to ask you to do, just because I want you that's watching this, if you've watched this video this far, I want to give you a choice. If you would like to support my company and my efforts, I work relentlessly with my team, a lot of stuff behind the scenes and a lot of stuff for free because I love to do it. If you would like to support that and buy one of our books, we make about $4 to $8 a book. It's just all there is to it. It's just the people that publish it, the shipping fees and all that kind of stuff. We don't make much. We're not getting rich off that, but it does add up. A couple hundred people buy a couple hundred books. That's enough for some payroll, right? If you can't afford it, I forgot what that book's priced at $15. Drop me a direct message on wherever you're seeing this, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. If it's on YouTube, look us up at clark@hay.com. I'll give you a free copy. I will send you a PDF copy that you can use on your tablet, your desktop. It's not a big book. It's less than 100 pages, but I want you to read it. Why do I want you to read that book and all of the books? Because I want you to identify and grab hold of the idea that you are an independent contractor, that you work in a retail space for a homeowner or a business owner. That is who you serve. None of your efforts should go towards anything else. You need to make sure that your customer can be reimbursed so they can probably help pay the invoice of what you've charged. But a lot of what we've been asked to do is not needed. And it's certainly becoming harder and harder with insurance companies just deciding on their own to issue payment for whatever they desire and leaving the customer stuck which, by the way, insurance have done that for a very long time. They've done that with auto and they've done it with medical. They don't cover everything, but that doesn't mean that the homeowner, business owner, didn't need everything that you did. And it also doesn't mean that you're a crook because you charge your standard rates. I want this book to be the eye opener and strength, empowerment for that. Just like you should empower your homeowner, I want to empower my peers and those that I love seeing successful. So check out Distraction. I think you're going to love the book. It's not over the top. It's just a real spotlight on a lot of areas. And it is a fable. It's a fiction. There are characters, but you're probably going to relate to this character and all of the band of characters that are in it and see yourself making some changes in your company and standing up saying what I will and won't do to take back our company, our brand, our ethos, and our mission, and put your customers in a position where they understand that, but they also fight for themselves. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, buy a copy of the book. If you can't afford $15, I would be happy to send you a PDF copy. It costs me nothing, zero. I will send you a copy of that. And I want you to email me at Clark, K-L-A-R-K, it's on the screen, at hey.com. That's my super personal email. Although I'm writing this under my company, Restoration Advisors, it's just easier, Clark at hey.com, fewer letters. I want to make it as simple as possible to get this into your hands. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. I appreciate you listening if you listen this long, and I can't wait to hear your feedback because the feedback that I get from this book and all of them lights up my day. It tells me, and even the feedback that I need to change something, it gives me an idea. I can rewrite a book. I can republish a new one. I can change all that digitally if I mess something up. Let me know. But if you liked it, if it made you feel a certain way, just a nod is my payment. Take care. Be safe. Be good. Don't be distracted.